Glass is directed by M. Night Shyamalan and is the third film in this trilogy that he's been in the making of for 19 years. It stars Bruce Willis, James McAvoy, and Samuel L. Jackson reprising their roles from the Unbreakable and Split movies. And I've been looking forward to this for a while. I actually saw it last night, and I'm filming it this morning. I actually wanted to kind of sleep on it. Really wanted to get my thoughts out there because I have a lot to say in terms of this film. I was actually talking to a couple people last night wondering if they had seen it. Apparently nobody that I know has seen it, so I had to think about this on my own. So I slept on it, I'm up, and here are my thoughts. And by the way, there's not going to be any spoilers for this review. I know a lot of people have seen a lot of my other videos where I've been talking about Unbreakable and Split, and I've been going really in-depth about those films, but I'm not going to go into any spoilers on this film because it just came out. And usually when I do a spoiler review, that's usually when I'm doing a video with Steven. That's a discussion-based video, so we have to go in-depth and into spoilers, but just because it's me, I'm not going to go into any spoilers. So I'm going to start with my positives real quick. I really enjoyed Samuel L. Jackson and James McAvoy. We see these characters that I've never really met, and their interactions are really cool. And basically what the story is about is they are put into this mental institution where they're being studied by this doctor who specializes in people who think that they're superheroes. So the entire film is basically them in this mental institution, and the doctor is trying to convince them that this is all just a mental delusion, that they're not actually people with super abilities, that this is all just some kind of mental illness. That's the entirety of this film. And they've put these three people in this mental institution. We see Samuel L. Jackson, James McAvoy, and Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis finally sees Samuel L. Jackson after so many years, 19 years after Unbreakable. And yeah, just really like the interaction between James McAvoy and Samuel L. Jackson, because we haven't really seen that interaction yet. This is the first time that we've seen them kind of converse. And I just really, really enjoyed that and how they team up in this film. And everyone's doing a really, really good job. Again, James McAvoy, I can't believe that he's able to just go back and forth with these characters. As you saw in my review for Split, I commend him for that, and I think he is definitely just one of the best actors out there for sure. My dad made a remark last night that he didn't see Split, but he saw this, and he made a remark that he couldn't believe how back and forth he could be with these characters and these split personalities. And when Samuel L. Jackson speaks, it is awesome. I love this character, and just like the mastermind mindset that he has and his love for comics. And that does actually kind of get a little weird as the story progresses, and that is one of my negatives. And let's get into the negatives, because I do want to talk about this a lot. So honestly, I was actually really disappointed by this film. I left the theater and I was just like, Shyamalan, what have you done? And it's harder for me because we're dealing with a film that is related to Unbreakable and Split, which I thought those were really good movies. I think Unbreakable is a really good movie with a really good screenplay. I think Split is a really good movie by itself. If it wasn't related to Unbreakable, I think it would just be a really good movie. And the problem with this film is I can just leave the movie theater and think, that was okay, that was alright. I mean, it was a little weird, but the problem also is because it's affiliated with Unbreakable and Split, these two good movies, that I'm a little bit more upset that this wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. There's a lot of writing problems, and I'm surprised because I've been remarking on how good of a writer M. Night Shyamalan is. Not going to go into spoilers, like I said, but I need to go into some minor plot details. So when they're brought into this mental institution, when this doctor is trying to convey to them that this is all a delusion to them, they never actually try to attempt to showcase to this doctor that they have superpowers. Like Bruce Willis, for example, he is super strong. We know that as an audience that he can lift a ton of weights and he can do things that not a lot of other people can do. He's a super, super strong guy. And he never tries to showcase this to the doctor. He never tries to escape. He never tries to show anyone around him in this mental institution that he is in fact a superhero. And they never actually tried to test to see if they are superheroes. They never put them in like scenarios or test experiments to showcase that they might be right. And that kind of plays into the ending of the film, which we'll get into. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I do want to mention that a little bit. And honestly, I feel as though this mental institution scenario, I thought it was very interesting. I really liked the idea that they're put into a scenario where they kind of doubt themselves and they think, oh, well, maybe this is just some kind of, thing in our heads. I really liked that idea, but the problem is that since they're actually superheroes, they never really tried to showcase to these doctors that their abilities, pretty much. I think M. Night basically wanted to figure out a way to bring these characters together. He was really trying to figure out a way to do that in writing the script. And because he realized that Samuel L. Jackson was kind of put away because of his events in Unbreakable, he decided the best way to do this was just to bring them all together and be presumed crazy, pretty much. And one could say, okay, that's kind of creative and that might be the only way to go about this. I kind of see it as a sense of writer's block. I see it as M. Night Shyamalan couldn't find a more creative way to bring these characters together, and he just decided to put them in this one building. And he might have saw that as like, okay, this is the only way I can do this, but to me, it just kind of seems like he wasn't really creative enough. This film also has some writing in here that is just really, really awkward. We all know M. Night Shyamalan's writing. There's the good writing, and there's the M. Night Shyamalan writing that we make fun of, like in The Happening, where characters say things that they would not really say in real life. That whenever you are reading a screenplay and you're in a table room with actors, the reason why they read the script out loud before they film the movie is so whenever they are reading the script and they say something that doesn't come off as fluidly as they thought it would be, they can change the script in that room. And with M. Night, I don't know if he does that or not, but he writes stuff in this movie where if they say things out loud, it comes off as something that is obviously written. It's very hard to explain, but basically, they make comic book references in this film where like, oh, we've reached the climax of the limited edition. This isn't a limited edition, this is an origin story. And it's like, nobody says these things in real life. The action in this movie is also filmed really weirdly. You can see that from M. Night Shyamalan's perspective that he is trying to film these action scenes in a creative way because he kind of foresees himself as like a filmmaker and he wants to be able to do something different. I've seen that throughout all of his films. He wants to do something that is creative and different and filmed from a different perspective. You see in the trailer that there's a scene where James McAvoy's character pushes some guards on a wall, and we kind of just see it in the background as Samuel L. Jackson wheels away. That's a good shot. That's a good example of him using his abilities to do something creative. But the problem is that he tries to be too creative. He tries to film from different shots and angles, and there's a climax scene where we see Bruce Willis and James McAvoy's character fight. We see this in the trailer, and the way that it's filmed is so, I want to say, awkward. It's a very awkwardly shot scene. For some reason, he decides to put the camera inside the van that they're fighting around, and it's just odd. And also there's a lot of first person shots as well, some POV shots that I just didn't really agree with. I just kind of thought that if you're gonna film a fight scene, just show it. Just show the fight scene. Stop being a creative film director for a second and stop thinking of how you could film this differently and just actually film it. Film the fight scene. You can do just a regular wide shot. That's fine. You can do medium shots. You don't have to do first person perspective shots. You don't have to do shots from inside a van. You can just film a fight scene. There's actually security footage at the end of this film that shows this fight that took place earlier. And it looks better than how it was initially filmed. And I just thought that was funny. Like, oh my God, I can actually see what's going on. So it's just, I could see how he would have thought to himself, like, okay, this is going to look good. But in retrospect, it actually looks kind of awkward the way it's filmed. Let's talk about the ending. I'm not going to spoil it, but this is my thoughts on the ending. It's going to piss people off. It's going to really, really piss people off. I didn't really like this ending. I saw what he was going for he wanted to basically explain to the audience this question that's ran through the film in terms of why only these three guys have super abilities. And he tries to explain it in this real world fashion. And I saw where he was coming from, and I saw how he could have thought that this was some kind of twist. It just doesn't really work for me. It's like, okay, that's cool, but in the sense of the film, it's like, oh, okay. Whenever I watch an M. Night Shyamalan film, and usually when I watch a twist, I'm like, oh, whoa. But in this, I'm just like, oh, that's why. I wasn't really impressed with the twist in this at all. Here's the thing with M. Night Shyamalan. I'm really going to get into in depth as to what I think of him as a director. I think when there is a lot of pressure on him as a director and people are looking at him to make an awesome film, I think whenever there is that pressure, I don't think he's really capable of making the film that everyone wants him to make. At least with The Happening. That was a film that he wanted to make, and whatever you say about that film, I think it's funny. I can still watch that film and gain enjoyment out of it. The Last Airbender, it was terrible. And I think it was just because of all the pressure that he was gaining from the Avatar fan base. Is he wanted to, appeal to the fans, and because he was also making an action movie, it turned out really, really bad. He had never done an action movie before that point. And with After Earth, he wanted to please the M. Night Shyamalan fans because of the disappointment with The Last Airbender. And that also turned out to be shit. With The Visit, I saw that as a film that he was like, okay, forget everybody, let me just make a film. And it turned out really good. I really liked The Visit. I reviewed that in 2015, and one of my remarks for that film was, I think he's really good at suspense. I think he's really good at horror, or even dramas, And with Split, I saw that as a film where he was just making a film, and he incorporated that Unbreakable subplot in there just for fun. If the movie was good or bad, at least he could incorporate that in there. And it was just cool. It was a cool Easter egg. And Split was good. With Glass, I think he was trying to please people who were fans of Unbreakable and who were fans of Split. And he wanted to make a third film in this trilogy that he's been making for the past 19 years. And because there's a fan base around that, and he wanted to please his audience, and he wanted to make a very specific film that explained a lot of questions about the Unbreakable and Split universe, I think he fell to the pressure. Overall, there's some things that I really enjoyed in this film. I like how there's callbacks to Unbreakable and Split, and it tries to tie everything together. But overall, I feel as though this film was trying to be something in order to explain things about this universe, when it could have just been more creative, and it could have been filmed better as well. And I was disappointed with Glass. I really thought about this as I was sleeping last night, and I just, it's worse because it's affiliated with Unbreakable and Split, two films that I really enjoyed. And the ending, what were you thinking with that ending, dude? So yes, guys, that was my review to Glass. Comment down below what you thought of the movie if you've seen it yet. Like this video, share it, and please subscribe to Pixel Talk if you haven't yet for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and gaming content. And let me know in the comments below if you'd like to receive a spoiler discussion with me and Steven. I think Steven said that he wanted to watch the film. I don't actually know if he's aware of Unbreakable or Split, but I'll talk to him about it because I'm sure that he's going to want to say some things about the film once he sees it. I'd like to talk about it, but I don't really think it's going to really fix anything because the film's already been made. But I'm sure if you guys have seen the film, you understand where I'm coming from in terms of a review. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Glass. Thank you guys so much. I am Corbin Stuckey, and this is Pixel Talk.